Hey guys, welcome to the vehicle system. So in this video I will explain how to install the vehicle system and how you can set up your own vehicles and just in general how to use the system in your own game. So when you get the file, you'll get this game file with this vehicle items folder in the workspace. Inside of this folder is a bunch of other folders, and all you have to do is move the things from these folders into their respective spots. So in workspace, move everything to workspace. Player GUI, move that to starter GUI, replicate storage, service script service, and starter player has two locations, so starter character scripts goes into here, and I had that from last time, so I will remove those, and starter player scripts. And then we can remove the vehicle items one. You want to make sure that you keep the vehicles and vehicle spawn folders though. Those are very important. So now actually, if we want to go test the system now, it would actually work perfectly fine. So come into test our game here, and we can create a speeder or a hover tank. So let's just test a speeder for now. We can drive around, we can shoot, and it all works fine. So let's talk about how we can edit the system. So in our replicated storage, we have these vehicle models. So the system comes with a hover tank and a speeder. Setting up these vehicles is, if you're setting up the same way I've provided them, it's going to be pretty straightforward. But if you're trying to do your own custom vehicles, if you're trying to add like more than one gun and stuff like that, you'll have to write some custom code for that. But if you're just setting up with like a normal tank or a normal speeder the way I've set it up in my system that I'm providing to you, then it will be perfectly fine. It is possible to do these extra steps if you want to. You just have to do some scripting on your end to make it work, and we will explain how to connect your own modules and stuff into the system in a bit. Let's take a look at the speeder in the workspace here. So our speeder, inside all of your vehicles, you have to have a humanoid, and you have to have all of these. So you have to have a humanoid, a model named detectors, a model named parts, a humanoid root part, and a player part. So player part is where the player gets positioned when the vehicle is in motion. So we'll talk about the settings in a bit too, but you can have your player set to visible and they'll be on the seat, or invisible and they'll be on the seat just invisible. And you want them on this part so that the camera knows how to follow the vehicle properly. Humanoid root part is like the main part of the vehicle. It's where all the body gyros and everything are. This is also where you can edit the fire and smoke particles for the explosion effect. This is the sound the vehicle will make when it shoots, so you can edit that here. And this is the sound that the vehicle makes when it's just like driving around, so you can edit that there too if you want to. Parts are where you store like all the like extra stuff, like all the details. So like all of these normal parts are stored inside the parts model. It must be named parts or the system won't weld the vehicle properly. Detectors is how the vehicle detects terrain around it. So as you can see, let me make these visible for a moment. We have many detectors in our system. So we have one on each corner, and we have to name these properly. So this is going to be named front right, front left, back right, and then this one is just going to be back. This one will just be front, and that will just be right, left, and then the ones in the middle you can just name whatever you want, it doesn't matter. But those ones have to be named properly, or else the system won't know how to rotate itself properly. You can also add as many of these as you want to your model. I wouldn't recommend going more than, how much do I have here, 9? Yeah, I wouldn't recommend going more than 9 unless your model is super big. Just because the rotation might not be as intense as you want it to be in some situations, just because of the way the math is behind the scenes. So yeah. So if your vehicle is set up exactly like this, oh yeah, one other thing. For the speeder bike, it has this chute attachment. So this is where the bullet actually comes out of. So the bullet gets created here and will shoot forwards. And we will talk about that more in a moment. So now that we have that all set up or taken care of, we can take a look at the hover tank. The hover tank's a bit more complicated. So same thing though, it's humanoid detectors, parts, humanoid root part, player part. This one doesn't have the shoot part inside of it because we want the shoot part to be in the gun turret. So the tank has this other model named top. And when we open this up, this is a script that just welds everything together properly. So make sure that script stays in there. Do not remove that script or else your tank will not function properly. We also have this turret model. So these are all connected via constraints to rotate properly. So that's not really too important unless you set up your own tank. But if you want to see how this all set up, you can take a look at the hinge constraints on how we set it up with the main and the turret. So there's another hinge constraint inside top main here. So this turret has a lot of attachments in it. So all these things here are attachments, okay? So each one of these attachments also has a particle effect in it. So this is what happens when we shoot it. All these particle effects get turned on to make that electricity effect up the gun. We have the shoot one here. So in this case, we wanted the bullet to come out of here. So kind of inside the tank a bit. So the bullet comes straight out of the tank. This particle named F1 is a particle that we don't need the old anymore. When we turn it on, it will move up the tank like this. Kind of gives a nice little animation effect. Yeah. Attachment 0 is for the hinge attachment, and this is where we store the shoot sound for the tank. So that's it for the tank. So make sure if you set up your own tank, it's set up just like that. So now let's talk about how to set up your own settings and stuff like that. So inside replicated storage, again, we have this vehicles folder and vehicle settings folder. And this is where you can make settings for your vehicles. Note that the settings modules have to have the exact same name as the model. So if you have like a speeder named hoverbike, you'd have to make another settings module named hoverbike, for example. Let's take a look inside of here. So we have all the settings related to the vehicle and also the settings related to the weapons. Okay, so in this case, we have our maximum speed, acceleration, hover height, so the height above the ground of which the vehicle hovers, fall rate, how fast it will fall down if there's no ground beneath it, the damage it does, any radius effects, how much health the vehicle has, and a sit animation. So here, if you want your character to have a certain animation when they sit on the vehicle, you can put the animation ID here. And the system will also come with an animation, and you will have to upload that to your game or group, just so it works in your game. And that will come with the system. I didn't include it in this video, but it will be there in the version that I release. Now, this is a little tiny bit of code which is extremely important because this tells the system where to actually find that shoot part, that shoot attachment that we're talking about. So if you do not understand code, pay very close attention to this in case you want to edit your own vehicles because this is very, very, very important, okay? So if you look at our speeder model, which is what this code is referencing, so this vehicle is going to be the speeder model, and we want to get the shoot attachment. So we have to go inside the humanoid root part, so inside the humanoid root part, and the shoot attachment. So the shoot attachment. And then we have to make sure that we return that value. And that's it. That's all the code that you will need to do if you just want to set up your own vehicle that's set up similar to how we do it. So if we go to the hover tank, you see the hover tank set up a bit differently. So we want to get the vehicle, but then we want to go to top, turret, main, and then get the shoot from there. The tank also has another variable named invisible. So if you set invisible to true, then your player will be invisible while they're on top of the speeder or tank, or whatever vehicle you have in the future. If this is not there, just like that, then your character will be visible. So these are the bullet settings here: bullet speed, max distance, gravity. So if you set this to like -20, then the bullet would actually fall down at a rate of -20. But the system right now so to not have any gravity. You can also do sideways gravity technically, so this would make it move 20 to the right as it shoots. You can also add bullet spread if you wanted to. So I'm pretty sure these are in degrees, or maybe not. Might not be degrees. Okay, yeah, it is in degrees. So if you want a bullet spread of minimum to be 1 degree, but maximum to be 3 degrees, that's how you set it up. Right now I have it to 0. All right, so let's talk about how to set up your own vehicles if it's set up differently than what we have here. So we have our vehicle service script here. If we open that up, we have a weapons folder, and here we have some other scripts. So here, when our vehicle shoots someone, it will look for this module, and it will call the hit function, and what we get from the hit function is shooter, hit part, and location. And this is all the logic that happens when we shoot someone. The tank one is extremely similar for the hit function, although the tank also has a special function for its animation, which is called by the shoot function. If you want to set up your own vehicles, take a look at these two modules to figure out how you can set up your own weapons and stuff. I'm not going to cover it too much in this video because if you want to do that, you probably already know scripting a bit, so you can take a look at those scripts and read through them if you want to. So all you need to know for that, so for vehicle spawning, here we can set up which vehicles we want to be accessible via the spawn terminal. So these terminals here. Here we want the hover tank and speeder to be spawnable, and we can set up group ID and rank ID restrictions as well. So if they're in this group and they have to be, if we set this to 10, they have to have a rank ID of 10 or higher to spawn the vehicle. Right now they're just 0, so anyone can spawn them, but you guys can play around with that once you get the system. We also have a few other modules here on the client inside vehicle driving. So we have two folders, vehicle code and weapons. So if you look at hover tank, this is a function that is not getting used actually, so we can just delete that. So this update function will run every single frame. So here we want to move the gun's turrets to have a correct position every single frame. So that's what's happening in this code. This speeder doesn't need any custom code, so we didn't make a module for it. Weapons, so this is what happens when the player clicks the weapon on the client. So here we set the fire rate of the tank to be 1, and the speeder is set to be 0.2. And here is everything you need to know about if you want to set up your own custom weapon systems. You put all the logic in these two modules. So that's actually, that's pretty sure that's it for the vehicle system. If you have any questions, find bugs or whatever, make sure you let me know so I can get them fixed for you. And yeah, hope you enjoy the system. Thank you for watching this video.